You're listening to Let's Get Surety. Let me hear your bonding talk with Kat Shamapande.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Let's Get Surety today. Today, I've got Mark McCallum co-presenting or co-hosting with me.
Hi, Kat.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for joining me.
I'm really looking forward to the discussion and meeting Kim and Lori. I know they're going to tell us a lot of great information.
Yeah, we're going to be talking with Lori Demmer and Kim Orslitz from Clifton Larson Allen today. And they're going to be talking to us a little bit about how the pandemic that's going on around us. And today is March 31st, just to let everyone know we're recording this podcast episode on March 31st in the midst of the pandemic. And we just want to let everyone know that the pandemic doesn't have to mean pandemonium in the workplace. And that's what Lori and Kim are here to talk to us about. It's nice to have you, Lori and Kim.
Thank you very much. We're excited to be here.
Yeah. Lori, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been with CLA just over 2 years. I work in what we call our telecom advisory department. And prior to that, I actually worked in the telecom industry, have close to 20 years experience there. So CLA was a client of mine at a previous provider that I worked for. And after meeting with them and seeing some of the synergies, with CLA and myself, Kent, who is my boss today, brought me over. So it's sort of like a perfect marriage, I always call it, because I have a finance degree and telecom experience, and both of those come into play in what my job function here is at CLA today.
It's great. It sounds like a great fit.
Yep.
Hey, Kim, can you tell us more about yourself and about Clifton Larson Allen?
Absolutely. And thanks for having us on this podcast today. It's very exciting to share some information to individuals during this time of uncertainty. My name is Kim Orslitz, and I'm a principal with Clifton Larson Allen. I've been with the firm 10 years and have the pleasure of leading the firm's HR consulting and outsourcing practice, where we provide guidance to business owners related to labor and employment, people programs. And as you can imagine, with the pandemic, there's been a lot of questions and concerns by employees that we're helping field questions as things evolve. Clifton Larson Allen is a professional services firm, and we have 3 lines of business: tax, assurance and advisory, wealth advisory, and then outsourcing. And that's where Lori and I sit, where we provide different services outside of potentially the accounting and CPA services, such as telecom and HR and cybersecurity. So that's a little bit of background on me and CLA.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. Well, it seems like our day-to-day lives are changing hour by hour almost right now. What are some things we need to consider when we're thinking about the impact of the outbreak and the impact it could have on employees and our business operations?
This is Kim. I'll take that question because there's a lot of heightened emotions currently. And I know as business owners, we're really maybe focusing sometimes on the business, the operations, and the finance. But I would also say that there's a human side to this. We're all very stressed. We want knowledge. We don't understand what's happening, maybe in not only in globally in the United States, but even in our communities. So there's a lot of information flying around that people are trying to absorb quickly. And as business owners, they're trying to absorb that information and make decisions. So we're cautioning to try to not make rash decisions. Take some time to consider the decisions that are being made and, align a group of individuals that can help make those decisions because they will have long-lasting effects on the business and the employees and how they can support their family and the operations of the business.
Kim, it sounds like a time like this, you really need to know where your anchors are, particularly, as an employer, trying to figure out how to address this kind of unprecedented situation where you find that your workforce is basically working from home. What do you think some of those anchors are?
Well, I think one is making sure that employees, and Lori will probably be able to answer the telecommuting technical side better, but from an HR perspective, I would say making sure that the employees understand that working from home, you can still be productive. You may need to change your hours because child care issues or work different hours. It's not going to be the same maybe schedule. So having those honest conversations with your employer and saying, I'm able to work from home, but here's the time frame I can work in. Making sure that individuals understand, how to be productive in that environment is very important. And then also understanding how to tune out and be able to, working from home, if you're not used to it, can be more stressful because it's always there. So making sure that employees understand, especially if they are non-exempt or hourly employees, they're not expected to work full time, all the time, 24/7, that they should be logging their time in which they're working, but then also paying attention to their family, getting up and taking that break, whether it's putting a load of laundry in, walking the dog, doing some quick stretching for personal health, and de-stress.
Kim, that's such a good point. It's so different when you're working from home. Typically, you wouldn't have your kids or even your elderly parents that you could be taking care of at home with you the whole day. But with daycares and elder care centers being shut down, that changes the way it looks a little bit.
Correct.
Yeah, I think my French bulldog was looking at this as an opportunity, and then he is sad now he finds out that I'm paying less attention to him, even though I'm at home. Clearly I have a feeling that it caught a lot of employers by surprise. What should they be doing about their employee handbooks and communicating either existing policies, or maybe they need to amend policies to kind of address what's going on?
Absolutely. And so definitely there's a laundry list of policies that probably need to be reviewed and some decisions made on how to react to this new environment that we weren't used to. Some of it is the paid time off policy and leave of absence policies. And that goes hand in hand with some new legislation, the Family First Coronavirus Response Act. So understanding that and understanding the current policies, knowing that if an employee qualifies for this new emergency time off benefit, that an employer can't require that employee to take the accrued paid time off that they may have for their own benefits first. So understanding some of those policies and staying abreast of them. Obviously, the telecommuting policy potentially would be different, working from home. And then if your business is still open, making sure that there's social distancing, probably determining who's going to be responsible for the cleanliness of the office and maybe hand washing stations or other protocols that will keep employees safe if they do continue to come to work.
So have you seen already employers adopt their policies in terms of letting certain people go to the office versus others that are to stay at home, assuming there's no kind of government order in place? How are you seeing people deal with that?
I have, and it really is based on the work that probably has to be done within the office and number of employees in the office at the same time. I've seen staggered shifts where, there's 6 people in the office in the morning and then 6 people in the office in the afternoon, and they're practicing that social distancing. So it really is individual to a business on how they can structure that. But people are coming up with some very creative ways to make sure that work gets done, their clients are served, employees still have a job to come to and can get paid. So I think employers may be challenged with, I've got to come up with something creative, and we got to figure out how to make things work. And again, going back to building that core team to make those decisions and have sounding blocks is very important. So the decisions maybe don't all lie on one individual.
Well, and it's great to know it's not just a one size fits all. You should really take into consideration your business and your operating procedures and find a way that works best for you, right?
Absolutely, because an office environment is going to be different from a manufacturing environment, and so and from a construction environment, and from a healthcare environment. So there's many ways to look at it, and it really is not that one size fits all for sure.
And you did mention if you do have people coming into the office or job site that you should consider, you need to make sure you're making sure the space is clean. Is there a good place to look for where people should be looking for the rules around that? Has the CDC issued some guidelines to help with that?
CDC has, and also OSHA has. So both of those are great resources to look at. And then, of course, the World Health Organization. We've all seen the wash your hands and wipe things down, is very important. And so I really kind of focus on the common areas of an employment location, the kitchens and the reception areas if you're in an office environment, and who is responsible for that. Sometimes, it's everybody does it, but then we may think, well, so-and-so did it. So really having a designated person to make sure that things are clean and supplies are restocked and employees, know that things are clean.
Kim, I wanted to circle back to something you had said earlier, and that, not only is it disruption to how we work, but there's an emotional impact to this. Can you tell me a little bit more about resources that employers may have, such as employee assistance programs, to help employees deal with kind of the stress, and what kind of leadership is required in this kind of environment?
Yeah, great question. Obviously, EAPs, if an organization has that sort of a program, an employee assistance program, they are coming out with great resources for employees, because our level of stress is very different. People individualize things differently, handle stress differently, and their circumstances are very different. An employer can't know everybody's circumstances, but providing the information that's available through the organization, not only through EAPs, but our healthcare providers. So the large organizations, the Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, those large carriers are coming out with information. And also the brokers, your insurance brokers, are taking that information and providing great resources to employers to share with employees on how to cope with stress, how to deal with different situations from, as you mentioned, Kat, child care, elderly care, just questions related to the coronavirus and how it impacts them. And leaders shouldn't feel like they have all the answers because it is unprecedented times. It's evolving, and they should be transparent with their employees and letting them know we're monitoring the situation, we're gathering information and sharing it as we can, but we don't have all the answers. And I think that's the best way for leaders to approach things, because employees will look to them for guidance and sharing what they know at the appropriate time, but also letting people know, I don't have the answer to that right now, but when I know, we'll share it.
Sounds like honesty and communication are vitally important, even when you're
100% important.
Distance from one another, which probably is a good segue to talk about a little bit more about telecommuting and teleconferencing and how that may play out to assist people getting their work done and connecting with their colleagues.
Yeah, absolutely. So, typically the trend that we've been seeing, within the next 5 years was the workforce going a little bit more remote. So all the tools are out there for that. But what we didn't expect was that, time span would actually come down to, it needs to happen overnight or within a week.
A little quicker than everyone expected,
exactly, right?
Yep.
So there was, these first 2 weeks, there was a lot of panic out there just trying to get set up, because now, rather than having your employees set up to, if you're sick from home, just take your computer, you can still get into our systems. Now it's a full remote workforce. So, it just became critical to get that online right away. And, thankfully, technology has evolved. So they have what's called Unified Communications as a Service, or UCaaS for short. And basically, that service allows you the ability to work seamlessly from home. It provides you, a one-stop dashboard on your computer screen that can provide you a soft phone, which is what I use daily and absolutely love it. I don't think I'll ever go back to a hard set phone if I could help it.
Well, can you describe what a soft phone is for someone who might not know?
Absolutely. You basically, you can either use the computer microphone and talk through that, or I myself plug in a headset. You can also have, the Bluetooth headsets as well if you don't want anything wired, and you have a keypad on your computer, and it allows you to dial tone via the internet, and you can dial out, you can conference, directly from your computer. So it's like having your cell phone on your computer. Very simple to use. The old days, people always worried about, is there going to be static or, anything like that when the old voice over IP first came out, that was a challenge. But today technology has improved so much that you can't even tell whether or not you're on a handset or a soft phone. So works great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And with UCaaS, again, provides you instant messaging capabilities so you can stay in touch with folks in your organization. Also allows you to host audio as well as video conferencing calls. So what's super important today, you still, even though we're all remote, you still want your folks to feel like they're part of the team, they're part of the office. You want to visually see who you're speaking with. So that video conferencing becomes so important, allows you also to collaborate and share documents, right when you're on, that conference call. So it is just so important to see the folks, and it keeps some of that normalcy in these times, there for you. And it's quick to set up. You can, you need a data connection. So at home, typically everybody has that nowadays. And, this type of UCaaS service can be set up within 24 to 48 hours. If you have desk phones in the office, you can forward those calls to this service. So it's a very easy and quick setup. Many providers are out there offering the service. It's just a matter of seeing, okay, which one's going to work best, for your needs. And I think as people are using this more and more, you're going to realize the true benefit of a remote workforce, and it might become more permanent than it would be, just used in an emergency situation. Cost savings associated with it. You no longer, if you get rid of your desk phones, you don't have the maintenance fees associated with keeping up with that hardware. Productivity is increased because I know even though you want to sort of structure your day, that you're still taking the breaks. If you commute 2-3 hours a day, that time is now turned into more productive work time versus sitting in a car. And then
I can relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, with employees, just realizing that better work-life balance, having, maybe less stress of not that drive home from work, their work performance will increase as well. So, I guess the downside is you still have to wake up every morning, take that shower, get out of your jammies, because if you're on a video conference, everybody sees you. And that's the interesting part, right? That's what we're all getting used to is how to work in this new environment with the distractions around us, the kids at home, coming into the workspace that you created. But yeah, I mean, it's a quick, cost-effective setup. And thankfully, like I said, the technology today has really allowed it to be that quick and efficient to set up.
I think I've seen a few viral videos going around about the video conferencing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I guess dress codes were going to disappear unless you do that video conferencing.
But I think it's great that you can really focus on all the positive aspects that can come out of teleworking.
Absolutely.
You guys were very kind to provide us with an article that we've put on our blog page in NESBP. So I'd be remiss in not kind of pitching that a little bit, but it's called "Pandemic Doesn't Have to Mean Pandemonium in the Workplace." And it is available by accessing our NESBP.org homepage and looking at the blogs there. It's a terrific article. Gives a great overview of the foundations. Anything that we haven't hit on that you want to particularly emphasize given what's going on right now?
So this is Kim. I'd like to just remind everyone that this is evolving. There's new legislation taking place, and as the laws have come into play, the Department of Labor, the IRS, and other organizations are following up with the regulations. So it's definitely evolving, and there's great resources available, and particularly CLA's webpage, CLAconnect.com, where the article that Mark referenced is housed, and many other information, resources, and materials that businesses would find helpful going through this changing time. So we welcome individuals and companies to go out and review some of the information that's available. And then if you're an HR professional or a business owner and want to weed through the IRS or the DOL websites, they have Q&As available as well. CLA is trying to take those resources and make them a little bit more user-friendly for individuals to comprehend and interpret.
That's terrific to know you're not in this alone. There's resources out there and others are going through this and can help you get through it as well.
Absolutely. And so I would say from a personal perspective, I'm taking this as an opportunity. It's a learning opportunity for me in my career. It's been, I don't think I've been through a pandemic of this level. We've been through the H1N1 and the different, but it hasn't risen to this level. So it's really been a learning opportunity, and I'm taking it as a chance to kind of build my toolkit for the future. And I hope other individuals take this, take a step back and say, what am I learning? And how can I make, can I take this to the next level as an opportunity for myself or the people that I serve and the organizations that I serve. So I'm trying to see the positive side of some things that are happening in our communities and in the world today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, thanks, Kim.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. Thanks, Lori, for joining us today. I just want to remind everyone, you can look on the CLAconnect.com or NESBP.org if you want to get some more information about navigating this pandemic in the workplace. Thanks so much, everyone.
You've been listening to Let's Get Surety, brought to you by the National Association of Surety Bond Producers. For more information about the NASBP and its members, visit NASBP.org.